So I got this bone. It's like, you know, you're sitting around the house and you're with your significant other or whatever, and you're like, hey, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? Well, what should we do? The answer, of course, bone. Alright. And of course, I got this Freddy sweater in an extra large size because I'm going to take it and weather it and perhaps sell it or maybe give it away to someone in some kind of a contest, likely rather sort thereof, something or other. And yeah, it's a little bit larger than I would have gotten for myself, but I wanted to get sort of a one size fits all kind of a thing, or one size fits most. So, you know, the sweater in the movie was kind of baggy like anyway, but I'm going to take this and gnarly it up and weather it real nice and good, and then somebody will be the lucky recipient of this sweater one way or another. Could I fill this hole in with some epoxy putty and paint over it? Sure, I could do that, but I've had the fucking thing for a year. It's been on my extended eventual to-do list for some time, so is it ever going to get done? Who knows? This I'm going to take and sand out and, you know, get rid of that ugly seam there and maybe add a little texture to it. Perhaps some gnarly bits of flesh and some weathering to make that look a little more cool. I just want to point out the packaging here. This guy, it's like he's supposed to be Freddy, and like he's just got like his smooth pimp beard, and he's all like got his hat tipped to one side, and he's like, hey baby, I'm sexy Freddy. You know what? I can't be all burnt up, because then the bitches won't be up on me. I'm like the Fresh Prince. I can't hang with you, because the girls won't be on you, Fred. Your face is all burnt. But the Fresh Prince is, he's a fan of public assault. Okay, so check this out. I just want to point out also, here we have strawberry flavored cereal, and then we've got a cherry flavored cereal, right? And then we have this right here, which is a berry flavored cereal, and then we've got a chocolatey cereal. One of these things is not like the other. This looks so stupid. First of all, it's got the remake glove on it, and then this guy, he's got these stupid little like blood marks, like cat scratches on his face, and this glove, this shitty glove, it's like the New Line fucking glove. It's crap. It looks like it doesn't fit worth a dick. And I just want to point out, the glove is missing a rivet. It's missing a rivet. Dun dun dun! I call bullshit on Spirit Halloween. My cat is like, this is a perfect place for me to chill and lick myself. Alright. Come on, Zazel. Alright, it looks cool, but it's just a little too clean. I'm gonna have to fuck this thing up. It's pretty much all it is. It's, you know, just really repetitive. Just go all the way around the perimeter edge of the bottom. Start making your initial cuts. Do the same for both sleeve, cuffs, and the neck area. The elasticy part of the neck. Trying not to get too much cat hair accumulated on this. My cat was sleeping on it earlier. Just rest assured, if you find yourself to be the lucky recipient of this sweater, then I will make every effort to remove cat hair from it before it reaches you. So yeah, that's my personal guarantee. I can't say it'll be 100% cat hair free. I can't make that promise, but I'll do my best to make sure that it is, to ensure that it's as free of cat hair as I can get it before I package it up. Alright, so yeah, doing a little bit here and there on the bottom, on the sleeve cuffs. Now it's time to go for that neckline. So here I'm just cutting in different directions, just making little snips. I want to try to avoid like flat looking pieces, so I'll either cut them to a point or just go in there and just maneuver with it. A lot of times you'll cut and just little chunks will come out. I'm also cutting random little pieces out here and there just to get a more jagged, uneven looking edge. Alright, so it's a lot more shallow than the other parts, so I'm going to go slow and use caution when making these little snips here. I don't want to cut too deep, I just want to start to fray and weather the edge a little bit. Alright, now that we've basically got that done, now is the fun part. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors or your knitting tool or whatever, you know. First of all, you can maybe cut a couple of little holes like that, you know, in the sleeve or in the very base, you know. Don't go too crazy with it, but yeah, you can start to add some holes in. I'm going to put one kind of up high. That way, you know, if the rest of that part ends up getting cut away, my hole will still be there. So, pretty much the idea here is you just want a random pattern. You don't want it to look like that. That looks like shit. That looks stupid. Like, you know, somebody just went and fucking didn't take any time or make any real effort to do anything with it. So, first of all, start cutting pieces of your edge completely off, you know, not maybe all the way around at first, but just sort of randomly. I haven't decided if I want to keep any of that intact. It's kind of a long edge there, but I might keep some of it intact completely, or I might just cut the edge off entirely. But pretty much the idea here is you're going to take the material and you're going to start kind of just pulling it, you know, just yanking it apart in areas, you know, where you've made your cuts. Loosen that up a little bit, you know, just sort of pull it, and then you're going to start to see little pieces come off that are just, you know, little stragglers or whatnot. So you kind of want to pull on those. You're going to want to get some random little hangy things coming off, and you might need to use your scissors and really kind of get that going. But like, you have a little piece like that, kind of just pull it until the edges start to look frayed and naturally worn, kind of like that. And that's what you're going to want to do all the way around. So you want your edge to look random and, you know, natural, organic, and just sort of twist and pull and stretch until you get the look that you're going after. See that right there? Starting to look fairly decent. Certainly much better than what you would get from, I don't know, other places like Ruby's or excuse me, something caught in my throat. Basically, that's the idea. So it's a pretty tedious process. I'm not going to subject you to the entire thing. I don't even really feel the need to record at all and fucking speed it up and do a time lapse or whatever with music over top of it or some kind of shit like that, because that's basically what you do, you know, just a whole lot of that. It's a very repetitive process. Just do that all the way around both sleeves, around your neckline, around the bottom, and then once it's done, we'll start on the paint weathering. Okay, so I'm not using any kind of photo reference or screenshots. I'm just playing it by ear, just going, you know, just so you want to get some paint on your brush, dab a little bit off, and do like a dry brush effect. You can always add more later, but it's hard to take away. You can always add heavier weathering, but you can't take away weathering in many cases, so it's better to start with a little and build up in layers if you decide you want to go heavier with it later on. So I'm just going to come in with some brown tones. You don't want to put blobs of paint on your brush. You want to kind of keep it sparse and everything, and keep the weathering subtle. You know, you don't want to go too crazy with it. You want to make it look good. So I'm pretty much done with the actual, you know, the weathering of the sleeves, all the non-color weathering, so to speak. I might actually go in and do a little bit more twisting and cutting and just roughing up of the edges here, or maybe cutting it a little bit more in places where it looks too much like fringe, you know. I'm not super happy with that right there, so I might, I don't know, I might leave it, I might change it. What do you think? Oh, bumping my camera. Bumping the cam, bumping the cam. Alright, dab. Just kind of, you know, random spots. Obviously this subtle brown shows up better on the red part than it does on the green, but we're just doing, you know, like if you're working a haunt and you're basically going to be appearing predominantly at night, you might want to go a little bit heavier with your weathering, not be quite so subtle. You want to be a little more theatrical with it perhaps, because you want something that's going to read, especially in low light. All this subtle weathering is going to be basically lost in a situation like that, and that's no good. It's no bueno. But in other circumstances, subtle weathering might just exactly be the way to go. Now it's time for the black paint. Now this by no means indicates that I'm completely finished with weathering brown. I might very well come back in after I've done some black tones and then fucking put in some brown bits. You know, I might come back in with more. I have to look at it overall and just, you know, just check it out and see. I might end up adding some gray tones or whatever. But the important thing is just, especially with the black, Jesus with the black, it's really easy to go too nuts with that and just fucking very little paint on the brush. They call it dry brush for a reason. So we're going to start out kind of small, doing areas at the bottom, just kind of random little, make it look like, you know, places where maybe greasy hands were wiped and dirty, this and that, and just grimy, oily, like, just kind of go random here with it, you know, but just always remember that you can add more paint later on. If you want a spot to be darker or a little bit more pronounced, you can do that, but it's best to just go with a smaller amount. Less is more at the beginning, you know. It's hard to take it away once it's put on there. And I'm just trying to smear that around and just make it sort of random and not too insane looking. Trying to keep it kind of subtle. You can even take your little paper towel with some paint on it and go in and smudge it up that way. You could use a sponge. I'm just using a brush because I like the way it looks and it tends to work pretty good. If you go a little too, you know, I'm trying to get kind of a blended look, so, you know, try to come in with a paper towel or a rag afterwards and just sort of give it a more blended. I don't want it to look brushed on, you know. Obviously, brush strokes are bad in this particular instance. It's not the look I'm going for. So anything that looks too brushed on, too applied, literal, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Anything that looks too intentional is not what it's not a good thing. Check it out, you guys. It's getting there. It's really getting there. I've added a little bit more weathering. Getting ready to do my final aftershot reveal. Just continue just dipping into the paint, dabbing it, stroking it off, getting just a little bit of paint, go in and just hit random areas, you know, just trying to be subtle, try not to concentrate too much in one area, try not to make it look too brush strokey. Even that right there looks a little too dark, but that's like on the back of the sleeve, so it's not going to be quite as ginger with the back as I am with the front. Just, you know, make sure you hit the edge of the sleeves, the bottom, you know, places where dirt and grime is more likely to accumulate, and, you know, just go in and touch it up until it looks good. Go back and forth with your black and your brown, your gray, whatever color you want to, whatever looks good to you, and eventually you'll get to a point where you've hit the sweet spot. One important thing you definitely want to do is put the sweater on, you know, see how it looks from your perspective, see how much, you know, if you want to add more weathering just based on how it looks from your point of view when you're wearing it. Look at yourself in the mirror, look at the sweater a lot, and just, you know, make sure that you're pleased with the weathering, with the, you know, the physical weathering and the paint weathering, the color and the texture and all that kind of stuff. Now this sweater is an extra large, so it's a bit big on me. It's kind of baggy and the sleeves are long. This is not the size I normally wear. My personal costume sweater I got from Hot Topic several years ago, and it's a large, I believe, and it fits me nice and good. But this one here is kind of baggy and billowy, as we should say. I feel like I'm like Freddy Krueger's kid wearing his dad's sweater. He's like, oh, I'm gonna wear my dad's sweater to work. I'm so proud and shit because Papa was a Rolling Stone. Anyway, that's the idea. Check out the cuffs of the sleeve. Look closely at the little details of the collar itself and everything, you know, and then you might want to go kind of heavy with yours. You might want to keep it subtle like mine. I'm probably still going to do a little bit more weathering to it. I'm not completely happy with this. It's looking pretty good, but it's not quite there yet. It's not totally finished. Ta-da! Now I'm ready for a night out on the town.